right. Welcome to the St. Louis podcast, and good morning, everybody. I'm your glorious host, Eric Brown, sitting next to not Katie Baker, not Garrett Atkins, but today we have Chris Reisner on the podcast. For some reason, she put Christopher. Does anyone actually call you Christopher?
Nobody calls me Christopher.
Okay. I've never, ever heard anyone call you Christopher. So
No, my mom.
Well, you're a warming presence. I really do like having you on here. You know, I've never met Garrett, but you know, he's kind of like, is he uptight? He seems like he could be uptight sometimes.
He might be a little uptight.
You're warm, man. Like I could sit, kick back, you know, have a drink and play some video games with you. Like I feel good.
Yeah, he might be a little uptight. Yeah, maybe just a little. Shout out Garrett Atkins. Today we have Tanner Dallas, entrepreneur, business owner, business advisor on the St. Louis podcast, and we're going to get into the weeds with him and his business. But before we do, this is the St. Louis podcast, where each and every Friday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, we drop an episode on all major podcasting, audio, and video platforms. You know what they are: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc., where we meet with the most badass people and creators to talk about business, entrepreneurship, and current events. Let's jump into it. How you doing today, Tanner?
I'm doing fabulous. I was late. You know, that's very nice. But, you know, I'm trying to be respectful by being a good guest here.
The weather's making up for it, so it's okay.
Dude, it was nice. I walked outside today. And it felt like it was 50 or 60 degrees.
It's 60. Yep. It's like 60 degrees outside right now.
Do you like the cold?
60 today. I love the cold, but I don't like the dark.
I don't either, man. It makes
weather.
me depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time November hits and the sun sets, like before you leave the office, I'm like, this sucks.
It's daylight savings time. That's what kills it.
No, well,
Give us
also
one more extra hour.
Also because if we know how, the earth tilts in with the sun hitting it, we just have less daylight. We need to go to what we need to do is travel to the opposite side. We need to go to the southern hemisphere. And then we need to travel back and forth between the hemispheres, and then we'll always have long days.
I made a post on Facebook recently about the daylight savings as well, and there was a lot of feedback on that. Way more analytical than I would ever imagine. It was just like, what is the purpose of it? And then there's people out there.
I'll tell you why.
You know, they don't want it to be dark in the morning, you know, when people are going to the school buses or anything like that.
That's the reason.
All got to be wives' tales, though.
That's the reason. No, it's kids getting on the school bus.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
That's why. That's like the main reason now, not farmers and things like that. Yeah. It's literally
our entire country was like, hey, those kids cannot go out in the dark.
No, we should have permanent daylight savings time. Like permanently, it should just be daylight saving always.
But then in the summer, it would get dark an hour earlier.
Yeah, but it gets dark at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It's fine.
When would it get bright though? Like 5 a.m.
I don't know. We'd have to look at the Matt. Pull up. Can we get some sunset times and some?
Are you guys early risers? Do you get up early?
Or what? No.
Yeah. Let's look at summer.
I try to be, but I'm not a good early riser.
No, I roll out of bed at like 8 a.m. Like I'm a night owl.
I try and go to bed by midnight and wake up at like 6:30. That's my goal. So you're not
trained.
You're not a successful business owner if you're not waking up at 4 a.m. How are you coaching all of your business owners if you're not waking up at 4 a.m.? And you're meditating an hour before you even talk to anyone, and you have your cold plunge, your sauna, you work out for 2 hours, then it's noon.
Don't leave your phone in your room either.
Yeah,
you guys are familiar with Hormozy, right? Alex
Yeah,
Hormozy?
yeah.
Okay, so it's funny. There was a fitness franchising concept I was a part of that group. It was this guy. He was an entrepreneur, sold a product to a large company called Rust-Oleum, and he was an engineer and decided I want to get into fitness. He created this tech, kind of resistance training tech. So long story short, opened up 22 locations within about 2 years, and I was on board with that and helping him do that. And what's interesting is we hired Hormozy in 2019 and early 2020 before he really blew up. So we were paying attention to him because he had the gym launch business.
Yep.
And nobody, like mainstream people, didn't really know who he was. I mean, this is back when he had the Gym Secrets podcast. And he put out a book.
Yep.
But that guy is the realest dude because even just talking to him, we used to go back and forth on Instagram. Now I won't even try.
Yeah, he's a little big.
He's the real deal. But it was cool back before he got really big because he was just the rawest and realest. Like at the end of the day, like you can do whatever you want as long as you produce results. And I do think that's funny when you hear people, you got to get up and meditate, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, I think if you just impact people and you provide value, that doesn't matter how you get there.
Yes. There's just a lot of thought leaders, online right now. There's so many reels and clips of people giving advice. I just listened to a guy. He was like, I don't get sick. He's like, if I start feeling sick, if this is a big influencer, like people
I will it away.
He's like, essentially, he's like, I will it away. And all the comments were either like, love it, I don't fucking get sick, I'm a badass. Or it's like, this guy is going to get cancer and die. And then everyone's going to look back at this post and be like, what, you couldn't beat off cancer?
Have you guys ever looked at the fact that these,
so funny. I'll have
these
to pull that video.
influencers, you see them at the mountaintop and they're doing all this shit. They don't have to worry about going into the office. They don't have to worry about these things.
I know.
People say, I want to model my life after them. You're like, there's always some type of unhealthy lifestyle that you're within while you're building whatever it may be. And I think it's funny because people try to like model that. And there's like even companies where people go there and the guy that started it, they want to be just like him.
Yes.
But they're doing everything that is not what he did when he started it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're so bought in, and it's like, I don't know how people don't see through that, but I don't know if you guys notice that. I find it very interesting.
Yes. No, it's. I think it's commonplace.
I'd love to meditate every day and do all those things, but I don't have, $1 million.
Who has the time to actually do all of that? Like, if you're doing all of that for your morning routine, you're gonna take 3-4 hours.
I'm telling you, I listen to these
office?
people. They're like, wake up at 4. Like, I love watching like hot takes on them. There's a couple good like content creators that just like watch these videos and then comment, just saying how much bullshit it is, and it's so funny. Even Hermosi had one recently actually, and he was like, it's easier to make $1 million than 100,000, and he was trying to explain if you have the mindset to sell $1 million,
the cost of,
but
not knowing how
also it's like 100,000 comes before $1 million, no matter what way you look at it. So it's just a little silly, but also Hermosi has a lot of good content as well. But
it's attention grabbing. You guys are in the marketing business.
Yes, but it's also like, at what point is too much? Is like too far? Like Grant Cardone and like Gary Vee and all these guys, it's too much and too far. Like I'm done. I'm done.
Do you guys watch that stuff? So like, I will tell you, people will ask me sometimes.
I used to watch Grant Cardone right when I got into sales when I was 20 years old because I knew nothing else.
After everything, it just becomes backwash. It's just like self-hype. And
there's
no
value.
No, I don't watch any of that stuff because
No.
at the end of the day, it gets you fired up. So the guy that started the franchise concept, I asked him when I met him, and I think I was 24 when I met him. And like, I'm thinking this guy, he's worth a ton of money. Like, I said, like, do you read books? Do you do this? He's like, no, I go do things. And like that before then, like, I didn't think about it. And it took me a while to actually believe in that, but it's true though. It's like action. And even like in my business or anything else, like when you feel some sense of anxiety or, watching a video may make you feel better, but going out and doing something is what you're either going to learn, fail, succeed, whatever it may be.
That's very true. There's a lot of talk and no follow through. There's a lot of people that plan that never actually execute.
Yeah. A lot of the influencers talk about that too, where they're like, I want you to get hyped up from this and then stop watching these videos so that you actually go do it. Because if you're not doing it, then you're not going to go anywhere.
Okay, you guys are in the media space, correct? Obviously.
Yes.
Tell me, I'm reversing this a little bit. I feel like there's a phase right now where paid content and paid advertising is only as effective as the delivery of the service, and not only the delivery of the service, but who's delivering the message. And I feel like people who are able to build a brand and a following, people think it all has to be about business, but I feel like the digital space is transcending towards, you still need paid advertising.
Yep.
You still need it because you need to get in front of people. But it's no longer just throw a ad up of, jump into this funnel, buy this. There has to be some type of trust built behind it because people in our generation, we saw our parents get screwed over on things. We saw our parents go through different hurdles, but where do you see that content creator space going?
So there's way too many influencers right now, but there are a lot of people doing it well. Like, I think looking at Mr. Beast and how he's obviously, you're not going to be Mr. Beast, or maybe you are. Maybe you'll be the next Mr. Beast if you're listening. Probably not. Probably not. But with that said, I think building like a personal brand and then really off of that building some sort of something you can sell makes a ton of sense because your following's already there. They're going to buy your stuff. You're cutting out everyone in between and you are the marketing yourself. So for that, yes, it's great. Now the problem is even with Mr. Beast, I don't think his products are great. No offense to Feastables. I don't know if you've had them, but
no, I haven't.
They're not amazing. And also like candy bars, but I get his audience. It's mainly kids. It makes sense. But it's like, I also find that a lot of the products that come from look at how many people in Hollywood do this. Every single person has like a liquor brand. Every single one. Ryan does it well, though. Mint
Ryan
Mobile.
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds does it well. Like, that dude is the king of marketing.
Isn't that
'Cause
brilliant what he did?
He is the marketing, and then he gets ownership. It's genius.
But do you feel like you get introduced to small business owners that think it's just like a switch you flip, and they think it's the marketing team's problem when they're not actually delivering on the service?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been there. That's
Yep.
when we started Crooked Feathers, everything on our business was built on, I don't think we had a great business model.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like 360 or 180 where we're at now.
Yep.
When we opened up, you remember Facebook ads, everything in 2019, 2020 was so much cheaper than it was now.
I know.
The game was different.
Mm-hmm.
The CPM was different. Like I could get so
100%.
many more eyeballs for,
Yep.
spending, for us, like we were spending $7,000, $8,000 a month just for 2 locations.
Well, the problem with Facebook is you're competing with every single advertiser.
But it didn't used to, before COVID, it wasn't as saturated though.
No, it wasn't.
And
Nope.
then we saw a shift where our marketing dollars weren't going as far.
Mm-hmm.
And we really were relying on that for consumerism, like customers coming in, spending money, but the product and the delivery wasn't there.
Yeah.
So like we had a subpar service, but great marketing, and we pumped a lot of money into it. So whenever 2021, 2022 happened for us in our business, like our margins just got constrained
Mm-hmm.
really hard.
Yep.
So we had to figure out, okay, like our margins are getting constrained. We had done like we were spending a ton of money when we had 3 stores because we had radio, we had print, we had
Yep.
digital. But the thing was, there was 2 factors there. If we don't have the margin there to where we're spending X amount per customer to come in, and we're not covering that,
Doesn't make any sense.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Then also was our dollar wasn't going as far, and we realized that we were too reliant upon that. So it didn't matter whether I did our advertising, somebody else came in, it was not going to be successful, and it was because we as a business were not providing the value to our customers that we were projecting in the digital world.
Yeah. Marketing only helps so much, right? It only helps so much. We can get the first person in.
Correct.
We can't get them to keep coming in if they have a shitty service or a shitty time.
And I think that's so underrated because, like, even us as a business, we had to look at ourselves, and I think that's the hardest thing to do, is look and say, like, you've seen, like, I do videos like of different businesses, like I just did it for fun. But what I realized was, man, like I can't go into my business and do this because my business isn't as good.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with like with that attitude, like with marketing, right? You get the first person in. Word of mouth usually is still going to be your best customer, right? Especially for restaurants or anything else. So, I mean, if that isn't there, you're screwed.
Correct.
So we can get the first person in, but if it's a bad time, you want essentially marketing is just expanding on your already existing customer base, right? Hopefully you offer a good service. All of those people like you, like your service, tell their friends and family, but you just need more people to come in to share that same message. So, I mean, I've said it, I think, before on this podcast that advertising and marketing can improve and generate sales for a business, but only for a short period of time.
Correct.
Doesn't work long term.
That's why so many celebrity brands die too.
Mm-hmm.
Kylie Jenner has had so many different brands that fail because she puts her name on it. It's a bad product.
Yeah.
And no matter how much marketing she does, it's not going to make it a good product.
Isn't it crazy though how many people just white label stuff like that? Celebrities, they just go and slap.
Everybody's got one.
They do.
All the energy drink brands, all the
Yep.
Well, you guys see it more than anybody, and I finally come to realize it. But perception's reality,
Mm-hmm.
and I think people want to say the opposite. Like somebody will be like, "Well, I don't want to put that out there because that's not that it's not true, but it may be blurred a little bit." And even when you're in the advertising world, and once you get behind that and you see that people, it doesn't. If you get them in the door and they have a great experience, it doesn't matter what you did to get them in the door.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't. I mean, it's just like, remember when CrossFit facilities and all that would do the bait and switch?
Yeah. Yeah.
People were only pissed when they were, number one, the CrossFit facility, if they had horrible service,
Mm-hmm.
and I just knew it from the gym space, but the only time clients would be upset is when you didn't deliver on what the offer was.
Yep.
And not only didn't deliver, but like they didn't have a good experience. But if they had a great experience, they don't care how you got them in there. But if they hated it, it wasn't the marketing company's fault.
Do you see a lot of businesses failing in the short, say the next 6 months to 2 years, with interest rates rising, lending getting harder? People are going to be spending less money. I think consumerism is going to go down because dollars are going not as far. And And to be honest and to be frank, you know, there were a lot and there are still a lot of businesses that were started during COVID from people that think they can do it themselves, you know, that broke off a larger company. We see it all the time in the home service, you know, based businesses, and they don't know how to run a business to save their lives. No matter what they do, they won't be successful. Like, you need to find a partner or something. Otherwise, this isn't going to work.
Let me explain it from personal experience.
Yes.
From personal experience and just what we've experienced, but then also friends. Okay, so I saw it. My mom, she owned dance studios growing up, so like I saw the small business owner aspect. And I'll tell you one thing that I was just talking to somebody about earlier, but you don't want to swallow when you first get into business, is you think that you can open up a business and just hire a bunch of people and you're going to make money. You don't realize that, number one, like if you are, let's say it's like a personal trainer, they want to go and open their own business, but they have no idea about business, but they're trying so hard just to be that business owner when they don't realize that they're the number one skill and asset. And they're like trying to balance both things, and they can't do, they're just, you know, they're half-assed backwards. They can't do anything good. They're trying to do something that they suck at and don't know anything about, but they won't even just take the first 10 steps and just get a minimum amount of clientele in to actually have like a super green positive number. But you asked about like where businesses are going in the next 6 months to 2 years. From our experience, 2020 pumped a lot of liquidity into the small business ecosystem. There was a lot of ways to get capital with very low barriers to entry. Without getting into specifics, there was a reason, and even we saw it, a lot of industry started to get saturated. People had a lot of money to spend, and then business owners had a lot of optimism, and they were opportunistic. I don't know how many, you know, there was the EIDL, there was the PPP, there was the ERC tax credit. Like, I don't know, what you don't know is how many people were spending the past 2 or 3 years just managing a business in the red and using those funds to cover it.
Yeah.
You don't know how many utilize those funds to expand. So I think like in some ways there's going to be businesses that struggle. For us, we didn't get to take advantage of a lot of that because we only had one business in pre-2020. I'm glad because I think I'm the type of person I probably would have taken advantage of it much more aggressively. So there were constraints that allowed me not to be able to do that. But for example, we expanded to 3 locations. Now, one of those locations was pure equity.
Yeah.
So I didn't get kind of over levered in that sense. But what I saw from being 2020, one store that was 3 years old, super profitable, did great, to 3, the problems that we saw were, number one, we got a little bit over levered, mostly with not only overhead, but just pure finding employees, finding team members. Didn't matter how much you paid people.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people like, and let's track it back, people were given the opportunity, like even me, you were given the opportunity, you didn't have the experience of being expansive in your business, and some of those people that never started a business or they just wanted to get really aggressive, you don't know how to manage things at scale. So we were able to achieve scale quickly. Now, it wasn't all because of that, because like I said, we probably would have had more if I was able to take advantage of other people that I knew. Like some people were getting up to $500,000 on an EIDL and like no big deal. Like it was no big deal. And transparently, we couldn't take as much advantage of that because the way we operated the first store and the way our accounting was done, it didn't allow us to expand on that, just because there's a way that you either...
We got some money from PPP, but we didn't even qualify for EIDL. So we got first round of PPP.
Really? Even I qualified for EIDL.
I don't think we got anything. And let me tell you, ERC, we sent that shit back.
We didn't even try because I know accountants that were telling me basically like there's some stuff that's going to bounce back. And we didn't. I
talked to enough accountants in St. Louis that told me to send that money back, and I was like, but you look at that number, you're like, we can do a lot with that money.
Correct.
Like, it was a good amount of money. Like, it was nice, and we sent it back.
We didn't even try. I had too many accountants that I work with personally and professionally that were like, you know what, it's not the best idea. Yes. And if you do want to take it, you better put it to the side and get over what period then until they can claw it back. But within those 2 years, we expanded greatly. But then you saw Wingstops popping up everywhere. You saw there was so much competition
Dude,
coming.
Wingstop is trash. Can I say that? I will say that. You know what's so funny? Actually, I have on here Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop. Franchise have some of the worst wings, like by far. I hate both of them.
Well, what you lose in those concepts is the model of people that care,
Yeah.
which we lost touch of that when we got to 3 locations.
Buffalo Wild Wings used to be good though back in the day.
Yeah, but they did things where like I saw it from the other end of being a small business owner in the restaurant market. Now we had stores they were doing at that point in time about 20,000 a week each, which is it's not huge numbers, but I mean we're popping over $1 million in revenue in each location at the time.
Yeah.
So we were doing good. Our profitability wasn't there as much because wings went from $60 a case to $160 a case within a period of 3 months.
I was going to say, what happened there? Have prices fallen or have they normalized?
We're sitting around $80 a case right now, but that's where our business, where the margins flipped really fast.
Yeah.
Because all this money was pumped in the economy. Everybody was buying certain types of goods, and then there was like executive actions and like chicken factories where you had to be more space apart, like just a bunch of just regulations. Like, crazy stuff. It doesn't matter, but it put a lot of pressure on the chicken industry, and there was actually some lawsuits filed where like price collusions and things like that. But
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
that was the franchises just buying crappy wings? Like, are they just cheaping out on
because there's things you can do. You can buy, like, that was a mistake we made. So we made a lot of mistakes where we were trying to cut cost within that year time period where we were really constrained. When we were doing things that we had to do because we had 3 units. And we were buying fresh premium jumbo wings, but they went up to like $170 a case. Yeah. Well, then we turned around and we're thinking like, how can we cut costs because we don't want to raise prices? Yeah. Long story short, we had to do both at some point, but we tried to cut costs by going to like a frozen wing. And they're frozen because they can create a backlog of them. They don't sell fresh within a specific time period. And a lot of restaurants do this. We ended up switching back because it just wasn't a good product. And we listened to our customers and they didn't like it as much. Yeah. Which I understood, but in those types of pressure situations, those are the mistakes that I made that I would look back and say that was a bad mistake. We lost customer share by doing that. The big chains, some of them they'll do like frozen wings or like company. They use a lot of medium-sized wings. We use jumbo. Okay. You can change from jumbo to medium. There's not really a small wing anymore. There's just jumbo, medium. There used to be like a smaller mini wing, but now bird processing plants are really used on steroids and all that. They're trying to get birds bigger because they want to have more breast meat. They want to have more tender meat. Like they want more of that. So that's why chicken wings, like they're not as many chickens being cut up, or there's not more to serve the demand. Yeah. There's just chickens are getting bigger because for them it's like
more chicken to go around.
Yeah. Yeah. Have more chickens or just, make the chickens bigger and have more profitability from them. But yeah, it's
kind of messed up to think about though.
Well, you see all the PETAs, like you see all that stuff. Like now there's stuff. And farming and basically taking cattle and essentially killing the cattle and turning them into a meat producer, whatever. I don't know this products in detail, but we've all seen those documentaries where it's like, they need more space in their chicken pens. They need more space. Like we all pay for that. Yep. And I think the thing that this world doesn't understand sometimes is when we give more big businesses, and you guys are part of a business too. And some people will take this in a bad way, but the businesses have to win because if you take away from the business's bottom line, you're taking away from the people that invested their time, money, effort into that. And they're going to do whatever it takes to protect that. So the price, somebody's got to pay for something. Just like, okay, we raise wages all across the board, or we're going to raise minimum wage to this in the country, whatever it may be. And not to get political, but people think they're getting a deed done for them. They think like we're receiving something. Yeah. But what has happened the past 3 years with inflation? What has happened? And this is not political at all. It's just supply and demand. Yeah. You get more money, you spend more money, we have more price pressures, so we have to raise our prices. Well, our employees get paid more, we raise them again.
I'm curious, anyone listening, if you were to look at how much you spent over the last year in comparison to last year, let's just say you can look at that number and probably equate it out. The percent increase that you are now spending more this year, did you get a raise based on that value? If not, that's a problem. It's like and then you have, now, for an insulation company, we start at $20 an hour and people don't want to do it. Which, like, back in the day, I look back at $20 an hour, no skill, right? Just straight up $20 an hour, walk in the door, and obviously go through an interview. We need to make sure you can, do insulation, and then you're hired, and you're making $20 an hour, and no one wants to do it. But also $20 an hour now, even you look at $20 an hour, I think the cost to live in just St. Louis, like to be good, is like $63,000 a year for a couple.
Oh yeah, I mean that's it seems
And that's
Yeah,
low.
for a couple, that's low.
Yeah,
And
but
that's like meeting
bare
just
minimums.
essentially bare minimum. Like you can drive to work, you can buy grocery
at-
store food.
63,000.
It's something like that. I was just on St. Louis's Reddit page like last week, and they had a post about this.
Yeah, but I mean post tax you're around 4,400. Average rent's probably for a couple 1,500.
Yeah, it's up there. Then you got food, like
Yeah, I mean
prices have risen in the last year. You can ask anyone about their rent; they're going to say it jumped probably like $100-$200 just in
100%.
one
Yep.
year.
well, and
Which it does seem like rent prices are coming back down. Landlords
mine.
are really well. Yeah, mine didn't either.
I was about to
but
say who's fucking
landlords are like trying to
in St. Louis.
trying to retain their.
I feel like luxury apartments, if anything, would be having the bigger
Yeah, we
issue.
have a lot of luxury apartments nowadays too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why?
I-
Where are all these people? Like, I was trying to move into, like, a couple years ago, I was trying to move into the, like, Sutton Station apartments or something in Maplewood, and they're labeled as luxury. They're not luxury. And also, you look at the price tag for a 2-bedroom, it's like 25. I'm like, who is paying this much? Why? How?
you'd be surprised though. People do.
I know,
can't-
but they do.
I don't-
Then you have no money to live. You're paying $2,500 in rent. The same person has $1,000 car, car payment and insurance. It's like, dude, you're broke.
This generation. How old are you?
30.
Okay, so I'm 27. How old are you?
26.
Okay, our generation is just so much different. It's a consumerism generation.
How have we not learned to save money though? I don't know.
I don't know. It's
All of
everybody's
my
built on
friends
the
travel.
experience, but
All of my friends
yeah.
travel and spend all their money. I know. We talk about it.
Why do you have 30 credit cards, Eric?
Well, that's so I can get points. I don't spend unnecessarily. I just use my credit cards when I need them.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
he's really good with his money, actually.
we asked Katie the
Yeah.
last time we were talking about this, and she says she didn't save almost anything.
I know.
So
She is what we're talking about. She
Yeah.
is the problem. Yes. She has an expensive car payment. Yes. And yes.
Yeah, I find it interesting, not to get into specifics, but it's just, I don't think they don't know what they don't know. And I think
Mhm.
we've had things so good. We came up in a generation where our parents were baby boomers or in that generation, and we had it so good. I think sometimes we don't know what the other side of 08, 09 is like. I don't think people understand that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, we're going to enter the biggest generation in transfer of wealth, as baby boomers pass down
Mm-hmm.
to their heirs and whatnot. So I don't know. I think that's pretty unanimous though across the board. I think media manipulation, like people are, money was really cheap for a long time. So we
Yeah.
want to entice people to buy things. Businesses do too. And
You could get a mortgage interest rate 2% 3 years ago.
That's wild. I don't know when we'll see that again.
We won't.
Right.
We'll never see 2% again.
That's just,
And if we do, let's just put it this way. You better buy up as many houses as you can because another bubble's coming.
man,
I mean, yeah,
you saw that. I mean, that's what people were doing. I think the home buying from corporations really started after the financial crisis.
I think that should be illegal, but
what's the percentage?
I don't have-
65%
There-
is going to
there's-
be owned
there-
by corporate.
yeah.
I don't know. I have opinions on it, which
I'm pro business and making money, but I think owning single family homes, it's like anti-American almost. And I'm also kind of on the same standpoint with all these short-term rental people, all these Airbnb guys that have like 20 Airbnbs that now you hear left and right of Airbnb failing, like a ton of these people with properties
that are arbitraging and
that
whatnot.
that are losing money month after month, or that bought the property in 2021 or 2020 with a good interest rate and they had an adjustable rate, or these cities that you had a property and now you can't do Airbnb there anymore. So like New York, there's places in Florida that are now mandating that you can't have anyone staying for under 30 days.
They do it with a lot of neighborhoods down south too. Just have a neighbor.
Honestly, that's everything now, though. Like everything you cannot own. Movies, You no longer own movies.
They
Really,
don't want us to
go on
own
Netflix.
anything. Yeah.
Phones. I don't own my phone. I'm paying it.
Don't you remember
until I
10 years
trade it
ago,
in.
like subscriptions were like this? I think about this now because I have so many
We
subscriptions.
hated subscriptions.
Hey there, St. Louis podcast listeners. We've got some exciting news from our sponsor, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Lee. Mark Lee of Farmers Insurance is recruiting agency owners here in St. Louis.
That's right, Garrett, and everyone knows what Farmers Insurance is, and if they don't, they will now.
Yes, it's kind of a household name. That said, as many of you know, a large part of our audience is made up of badass business owners, entrepreneurs, and top producing sales professionals with an open mind like yourself. Farmers Insurance is currently searching for driven individuals who aspire to own their own business or already own their own business and want to add another income stream to join the Farmers Insurance brand and own their own insurance agency.
This is a stellar opportunity to build your own insurance agency from scratch, take over an existing agency, or if you're just a slow roller, we know you the guys out there and ladies, get paid to train under an existing successful agency owner before starting your own.
Holy shit, Eric. That means that whether you have experience as a business owner or you've never heard the word business before in your life, there's a pathway to owning your own business through Farmers Insurance Agency led by Mark Lee.
That's right. You can become a Farmers Insurance business owner even if you've been homeless in the past, just like you.
Yeah, thanks.
If you've ever dreamt of being your own boss, building a team under a reputable brand, and making a difference in your community by offering top-tier auto, home, and commercial insurance to consumers and businesses in your area, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the godlike man himself, Mark Lee, has the perfect opportunity for you.
Visit insurancecareerstl.com to speak with Mark Lee, the district manager of Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, to become a Farmers Insurance agency owner today.
Did you hear that, St. Louis? Go visit insurancecareerstl.com. Insurancecareerstl.com. That is INSURANCE. Career, CAREERSTL.com.
To become a business owner today, again, one more time, visit insurancecareerstl, as in St. Louis.com today, right now, this second, or reach out to us at stlouispodcast.com and we'll introduce you to Mark Lee ourselves. And I promise he won't spell out insurance and career to you.
Now back to the show.
We hated it, but like I've got a CapCut subscription. I've got, a Facebook like I've got subscriptions for everything because I use it. I utilize it. But then you just sit there and it's like, wow. Like I was literally thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, because sometimes I'll meat with people and one thing you talk about was like what people are spending money on is it could be subscriptions, things like that. And I look at myself, we do it for Netflix was the first subscription I ever thought of. But now phones too. You used to do a 2-year service agreement with AT&T.
Yep.
You'd pay like 200 and something bucks. Yeah, you'd own it. And now they've stretched it from 24 months to 27 months. 36 months.
36 months, yeah.
I can't even ask for 24. I don't keep a phone
you
more than a
can't.
year and a half or 2 years.
You can't. I just got the new iPhone. I asked they put 36 on there. I'm like, I want 24.
Yeah.
And they're like, just make extra payments.
That's what they told me.
I'm like, okay.
I didn't understand it.
I think they got to be making more money somehow.
I don't know. It's just
Are they charging interest? They don't charge interest on phones.
Well, they have you locked into the plan because you can't change it until you pay off the plan.
Let me
so they have you locked in for 3 years instead of 2.
But technically, you can pay off the plan, so you're not.
That could be
actually
it.
in a
That
contract.
makes sense.
Think about the
Like you
model
were
like
back in
this.
the day.
Look at there's Legacy Auto.
Mm-hmm.
Legacy Autos like GMC, Ford, all these companies that have been around 50, 60, 70, 80 years. And then you've got Tesla. What do legacy automakers do to pulling business during times of recession like right now? Essentially, they don't drop prices on new cars. They continue to keep them level or increase them. But then they are also the financiers of their vehicles as well. That's where they try to get you. So they'll say 4 years, 0% or whatever, but they're making money up on the sticker price of the car. Tesla, on the other hand, runs it like a consumer model. Now, I will tell you, I hate that because I bought a Model X right before they dropped prices.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, they dropped.
So you were one of those people that you
Yes.
can't go back and be like, "Hey, I bought this like 3 months ago. Can you take $2,000 off my bill? That'd be great."
No, mine dropped 20,000.
Holy shit!
Oh.
Yeah, trust me. But
So you're gonna buy a Tesla again after you got burned? Like, are you upset about that?
No, because I was actually flipping them in 2020 and 2021 because in that time period,
Okay.
you could go and buy them, order them, get it in 6 months, turn around and sell it to a legacy auto dealership. I've sold 3 of them to Bo Buchman, Ford.
Yeah.
I've sold multiple over there.
Brent's buying them up.
Brent was buying them up. Brent and Trey, they were buying them. And God, my
Well,
brother,
that just shows how much money they were making off of them then.
correct. But that was just me. Like at that point in time, that's when Crooked Feathers was like in a crazy spot. Like it was just
Yeah.
like I was trying to find ways to make money outside of it. And I would order one, and then I'd go to them and say, "Hey, how much will you pay me for this?" And then at that point in time, it'd be like $3,000 to $4,000 over what I paid.
Mm-hmm.
I know my brother sold one to a dealer one time, and he got like $9,000 over.
That's crazy.
But that just showed, like, that's when I was looking
Car
at it.
prices were ridiculous. They're coming down now.
My car got totaled, and I got $17,000 over what I paid for it from 4 months earlier. This was at the end of This was mid 2022.
Does someone want to hit me on my way home?
Yeah, this just in.
Actually,
Wreck
no.
your
I'm just.
car.
I don't because I have a paid off car. Don't hit me.
That's how inflated things were, though. So you knew something something was wrong
Yeah.
when I was noticing that. And for example, though, I went and bought the same exact Model Y right after. 3 months later,
Mm-hmm.
I probably got chopped off $15,000 on that when they started making price cuts. So it's kind of like what I made up in that time period. Like I think it was like just maybe it was karma, whatever it is.
They got
It's
you
like,
back.
They got me
They
back.
got you
Like I
back.
made that money when I sold when the insurance came and gave me X over what I paid for it, but then I paid that right back in losses.
So what are Tesla people saying? I mean, are they upset about this?
I actually want to get your guys'
I would be
opinion.
upset if I just bought a car and Chris a month later buys the same car as me for 20 grand less.
Do you buy things and are you okay? You're okay when you paid for that product.
Yes.
Okay. So you agreed on it. Nobody held a gun to your head and you
Correct.
said, I'm willing to pay this for this.
Correct.
Product. Okay.
Or do you just
But
feel like
then
you got bent over?
I feel
a
like
little
I
bit?
feel like you're getting a little cheated. Yeah.
You know,
At least give me some lube. I'll just put it that way.
I was very you get very upset about it, but it's like, man, I can't like
You
yes,
can't do
yes,
anything about it.
Yes, I was very disappointed when that happened. It was very frustrating because I just bought this but at the same time though, I was buying them cheaper and selling them for a profit before, and no other kind of like auto company was doing the same thing. But Tesla is also notorious for like once rates go down, they adjust their rates because not rates, but their pricing of their vehicles because they don't finance their own vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying 5.9% at that point in time, like it was 5.9%. You're paying 5.9%. You're not paying what you could at Ford or somewhere else, like 2.9, 3.9, whatever it may be. But they also adjust their prices, so their prices may elevate again once interest rates go lower. So I don't know. I didn't like it though. I don't think personally. I mean, I've been buying Teslas for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I just love the vehicle. I love the brand, but yeah, it hurts though.
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean? Like it's like I love the
Did
vehicle.
you see the Cybertruck?
I want to get your
That thing's-
guys' opinion on that.
I think innovation is. I like it. I like things that like catch your eye. You guys are marketing when you see something. That is marketing on the road.
I think it's ugly though.
I'm not a big fan, but I do like that it's bulletproof, and for that, I'm like, that's fucking.
I've heard
I was
people
like,
that have
that's-
seen it in person that are like, "Wow, this is so much cool." It looks small when you look at it from photos, but it's
Yeah,
bigger
it's a
than-
massive truck. It's
Yeah,
like the
supposedly
size
it's
of
huge.
a, like
But are you guys
F-250.
fine with only 10 people getting one after like 2 million of them were technically sold?
I think they said I just read something that they're only going to make 1,000 Cybertrucks. I don't know if that's real.
No, because people have like already put orders in, but they're only making 10 and giving 10 out to like employees of the company as a test run when there's like this long list of people that have already.
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
I thought that they had already started delivering some. Or is that only in LA? I've seen the videos of them just driving around. Or
I think
or,
they're
Well, I
still
think
just
they're
testing them.
delivering
I don't think they're
10.
delivering
Okay.
anything.
okay.
Let me
I
look
thought
that
that
up
they
But
had.
the Hummer got announced
Yeah.
after the Cybertruck and delivered before the Cybertruck.
Why are you buying an EV Hummer?
I think like big vehicles like that as electric vehicles make the most sense because everybody wants a big vehicle right now. I drive a truck, but the gas mileage is
I argue against EVs
terrible.
all day long.
and I
They
don't
make-
do anything with it.
They make no sense. The
I don't
charging
tow stuff.
network sucks. It's a pain in the ass.
So
It's only
It's
good.
worse in St. Louis.
It's
though. Like, we have
only
nothing
good
in St.
if you
Louis.
drive it to and from work. Literally, if that's all you do and you stay in St. Louis and never leave, fine.
How much do you actually drive your car though?
A
Like
lot.
300-mile range. That's a full tank. That's
So
a
I'm
week's worth
thinking,
of driving
okay, here's my thought.
for me.
I'm thinking apocalypse, shit goes down. Guess what? You don't want to have an EV. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that the first
I
thing you
end
go
my
to?
discussion right there.
Okay.
I mean, we're in 2 wars right now. We got shit popping in Ukraine. Apparently, they need more money from us, by the way.
They do.
Otherwise, they're going to lose. Who saw that one coming? And then we got Israel. I mean,
how many miles do you put in your vehicle each year?
15, 20.
Okay, I put 35,000 on my vehicle every year.
That's a lot more.
Damn.
Okay. And
So do you have a problem with an electric then?
so, just so you know, I'm not one of those like. I just love the tech of a Tesla.
I
me,
agree. I'm
Why
with you.
I drive it is because the stereo is better. It's like a Bang & Olufsen stereo. Elon hired the guy that created that, or was the head
Really?
engineer.
Okay.
Put it in like a Model 3 sound system is better than a custom sound system in 95% of cars. It's phenomenal. I mean, it just comes standard with like 2 subwoofers, all that stuff. I don't know any of it, but
Yeah.
I like the tech with it because it looks like I compare it to like this. All the new EVs coming out, everything new is like an Android compared to a Tesla's like an Apple.
You're crazy to buy not a Tesla if
I
you're
wouldn't.
going EV.
I
Like,
wouldn't.
you're insane to buy the Ford F-150 Lightning
I
electric.
test drove one and it was just why
The
would
Ford CEO, remember he traveled across the country in it, and he talked about
stuck.
he talked about how horrible it was.
well
They also can't use a lot of the charging networks, I
They-
guess. So
they-
you have different plugs and shit. I'm like, this is
yeah. And
if I was
I
gonna
think
get
that's where
something,
Tesla's gonna make all their money is
the charging network.
Yeah.
everybody talks about they're more than just a vehicle company, but then also
Battery company.
You guys ask about like how long it takes to deliver a vehicle. How many new auto startups have you seen in the past 20 years other than Tesla be somewhat successful?
Rivian?
there are a lot right
There's
now,
a lot.
but
There's
but
a.
not.
I would
But
beg.
Rivian's backed by Amazon, right? I
I think
believe.
they're backed by big. I think
They've got
it's like GM and Ford.
they've
bought
got
into
they've
them.
got big backers.
Amazon.
But
Yeah. So you remember the
Oh.
scam trucking company that came out like 2 years ago?
wasn't it? Oh my God!
It
Yeah,
was huge.
He was promising that he was
EV.
going to have.
EV.
Gosh, what is his name?
Oh, dude, he got hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes, I do remember.
It was
that
valued
now.
at over $1 billion, the company, and it was a total scam. They
No, I
like the
do
video they
remember.
had, they rolled it down a hill or something like that, and it was totally fake.
What was the name of that? I do remember that though.
Nikola
Nikola.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he named it after Nikola Tesla.
Yep.
Trevor Milton.
Yeah, I think he went to jail too, didn't he?
An arbitration panel awarded 165 damages from Milton. He paid 125 million to settle. Wow.
Yeah, so he kept himself out of jail by paying basically.
Zero emission 18 wheel trucks. Yeah.
It's just hard. I think sometimes like we misconstrue things for, we live in such a great, like we live in prosperity.
100%.
And I think people sometimes like there's a good graph. If you look at like in 1920s, people did not wear masks working in factories. They were tied off by, when they were building the arch. Do you think that would pass safety code right now?
No one died somehow building the arch, but no.
And it's still here, but the constraints and cost to build that same thing just because of the
100%.
labor and the attention to safety alone, it's just unreal. I think that's why you don't see structures like that as much anymore. I think that's part of the reason, but I think that's why the country's in turmoil right now is we get to a point where we progressively just want more, and then we kind of lose sight of it's just natural. I mean, you're born.
Is it because America also doesn't look out? Like, we're the only country that doesn't, like, world news, we're like, psh, world news.
It's just,
who gives a shit about what's happening outside of our walls?
it's just weird.
Meanwhile, other countries pay attention. Like, I feel like
They have to because they're all right next to each other.
I feel like
for,
we just
the
don't
Europe.
like people in the United States just don't pay attention. Like most people, like you're saying, live in prosperity and like
it's your standard.
your life is just like easy as fuck.
Well,
so you don't have to do a lot.
Do you
and,
guys
like,
have kids?
No.
No.
Okay, so my child, when she's 10 years old and starts to understand what her standard is, that's her standard. So anything less than that is not acceptable.
Yep.
And we all grow up and, we see like you grow up and you see your parents and like that's like your standard. Your lunch at school, if that's what you get, you never had a problem with, that's your standard. Well, God forbid, you have to take your lunch to school. Like I've always been accustomed to this.
Yes.
Just like things like that. And I think that it's kind of like you guys, marketing, psychology is big in marketing, but I think people get used to something and they need something bad to happen. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I think perception of bad is, people. You know what I mean? People
Yes.
said there were people out there saying things were great the past 2 years, and I can tell you from a small business owner, they were not.
Yeah.
And I think for a while, a lot of small business owners didn't have their ego was too high to say things aren't good.
Yeah.
And I think you see that
We're
a lot.
hearing it now. We're hearing it left and right now. With a majority of our clients and partners and everything that we work with. I mean, it's not like, obviously marketing helps, right? But we're not magicians. We can't make something happen that's not there. Obviously, you still have marketing going to, building your business. But at the end of the day, if there's just less people in general wanting to buy it or wanting to purchase something, what are you going to do? If that pool is just shrinking of people that are willing to purchase, essentially is what's happening right now.
I see it from the small business owner standpoint, and that's where we rebranded one of our locations. We had to, because we realized that the value proposition we had was not in line with what we needed to charge and the experience we needed to have a profitable business. Because like I said, the old days of just you throw up a bunch of ads, you have really cheap product because our products were getting them cheap now.
Yep.
Now I think there's like a shift right now where people are still trying to small business owners are trying to figure out where is we're almost to the end of minimum wage hikes. I think we have like one more year.
Yep.
Or 2 more years. 2025 is the last year, I think.
They're moving it up to 15, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're at.
That's not servers, though, as well.
No, they get half of it. So, I mean, like servers, that's another debate, too. People say servers get half a minimum wage. They also have tips, but that's just a whole other debacle. We don't have servers, so we don't really.
Do you guys still ask for tips?
People can do it, but we don't have it where it's like in your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I go to Starbucks or anywhere, and the first thing. They turn the thing, hey, can you look at this? And it's like, I have to decline it before I sign anything.
I know.
And
I was just at a deli. I stood in line.
What deli?
I'm not going to say it.
There's a lot of good delis. I went to this one.
But I was pissed because they asked. It's like, dude, you handed me my sandwich.
Yeah.
I worked at Panera. I've worked in food for a long time.
Panera's the same way.
But back in the day when I worked there was no tip. There wasn't even an option for tip.
It's like universal now.
And if someone gave us a tip, we were like, holy shit, there's $5. Does anyone have one so we can give this to everyone?
Do you guys remember being in high school and working?
Yeah.
And that was just like the advent of like iPhones and things like that. But just think before then, why are these high school kids? I will tell you, they're not like we were. And I'm not saying that because I think we were much better employees or workers, but they have so many distractions.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't, people can't communicate because they go to work and when they're not working, they're on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're texting. They're not communicating with other team members.
Yep.
And, God forbid somebody has a different opinion of something than them because then it's like, that guy's being mean to me.
Yeah.
It's weird though. Like I can't imagine, like we had phones when we were working, but we still communicated with I would go to work and there'd be girls there that I wanted to talk to. Like that was why I liked going to work too.
100%.
And these kids, it's weird, man. They'd rather sit at home and play games and be isolated and be on with their friends.
There's a ton of them that don't even want their license now. They don't care about driving.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what happened?
What is going on?
You want to sit at your parents' house?
What area did you grow up in?
Wildwood, Lake Chesterfield.
Where'd you go to high school?
Eureka.
Okay, so I went to Vianney, which isn't like a super private school.
Okay, yeah.
It was better than going to Oakville High School or somewhere down south.
Sure.
I just want, and I wanted the exposure to more people in that area because we're at in Arnold, South County, some of those areas, people grow up there and they never leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I just wanted to be, I just wanted to be outside of that a little bit.
That's why I live downtown.
Where do you live? Oh.
I live downtown.
Yeah, tell me your address on air. Yeah.
I lived on Washington Avenue for a while.
But you got to meet so many people that were from different elements of life, different walks.
Let me tell you, it was different.
I don't think I could do it. I'm not.
I wouldn't live down. I wouldn't live down that far downtown again.
Yeah.
This was also before we still had Dubliner and Lucas Park.
Okay.
All of those were still open. You still had Bobby's right there. There's nothing open down there now. I don't think there's the Rosalitas is still there, but I mean everything moved over to One Cardinals Way, and everything's now around the stadium. So Wash Ave is kind of, I don't know, they're hurting.
I think near Wash Ave is where my grandpa used to own something a long time ago. It was right across from the VA, or I'm trying to think. It was right after. It was all North Tucker.
Okay.
410 North Tucker. It's called Dapper Dan's. He was down there for over 30 years. He had some bars and restaurants, but yeah, I know exactly where Washington.
You said Dapper what?
Dapper Dan's.
Okay.
Bill McClellan did an article, and then when they closed, he was he ended up getting Alzheimer's, and he had his family working there. And long story short, he was
So
there.
Dapper Gents is not similar.
No, I think the Bismarck Cafe is where the Bismarck is now what it used to. Bismarck is where his restaurant used to be, but downtown was different back then. Long story short, like in the 80s and 90s, like people worked downtown, people go to lunch there, they go have drinks after work. Like that's where like your social gatherings were. You didn't have a cell phone where you called somebody and just had a conversation. It's like, hey, meet me at the bar after work, or like people would still drink. You hear stories like people used to drink during the day downtown. Yeah, like that's how stuff would happen. And
what do you think about work from home?
I think it depends. I'm not.
Chris is a big proponent of work from home.
I don't have a
proponent. I hate work from home.
I know that. I was giving you shit.
I think
okay. Yeah, I hate work from home.
I think it's contingent upon like if you're a producer, like you're in a career where it's contingent upon you and you have to like, or you're in a sales role. As long like I don't think working
that's
from
a
home,
little bit different.
And I don't even think you can do that. Like to me, like a lot of
if you're
people
in a sales role, you can't really work from home. You have to be out.
You have to.
You have to be in an office.
If you're working from home in your sales, you ain't making any.
That's what I was
gonna
say.
Yeah.
I'm in that environment, and I see people that just want to do shit from fucking Zoom all day, and I'm like, you're missing like our generation.
Dude.
The way to win is go out and meet people.
Yes.
And people are scared to meet people
in person.
Like literally, we met on social media, but it's like, how do you meet people and provide value, but then also people say like networks. I hate networking events. I think they're silly. I don't know. I'm an eccentric person a little bit. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of a waste of time.
Oh, Eric loves his networking events at Golf Pro.
I don't love them. I try to find the good ones.
I go to them.
Really, I go to them because more likely than not, I've learned over time that there's ones to go to and ones to not. Number one. Number two, if it's a happy hour, you knock out the conversation and you get a free beer. And hopefully make a connection with someone.
That's what I think. And I think, like, I go
in
in there.
But a lot of people network for the wrong reason.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm only there to hopefully talk to someone. Either I
You're
can
going
make
in there
a
with
connection.
an objective.
It's only to make connections.
Correct.
Either I can connect you with someone I know, or maybe I can help you.
And I think that's where you win in it. Where some people that are just getting into sales or just getting into a career, they think,
I'm just going to go and hang out.
Yeah, it's like number one, if you aren't amazing at making friends, then going and making a friend, like you can try to do it to make like improve your skills, but some people don't have that personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like, you know what I mean? Like some people just don't have that personality where they meet somebody.
Yeah.
And there's guys that like, I kind of tailored the way my approach within like a sales realm too is I'm just myself, where people I think try to like be something else, where I use the same foul language as if I would to anybody else. Like I act like myself. And I only did that because who were people I bought from? I mirrored the people I brought from. And who were people that I bought from? People that I knew, liked, and trusted, but also shot me straight. Yep. But these people, networking events, sales is a weird industry. And I think a lot of people miss the boat where they don't sell something they believe in. Mm-hmm. They aren't like, you can be an awesome salesperson, but you may not even know jack shit about the product. Yep. And I think like you can, like some people say like you don't have to, but I do believe, I'm a firm believer that whatever you're selling, being excellent at understanding it doesn't mean you have to go deep dives with your clients into it, but knowing it for those situations where they call you.
You got to know it.
You got to know it. And some people think you don't have to.
That's insane.
And
how do you know you're providing value for your customer if you don't know?
Well, you know how it is. Some people go out and it's like, there's marketing companies out there.
Yes.
I'm not you guys. But there are those out there where they hire people to cold call businesses all day long. Yep. And they don't even know what they're selling. Yep. And I used to take meetings with those people, and then they'd show me a presentation that they worked to study and mirror over and over and over. And you'd ask them a question, be like, well, I'd have to talk to this person about that. I get it to an extent. Like if you don't know the information, or I don't know it, like, hey, I don't know that. But when it's repetitive and you don't even know the core of your business. I don't
see how a lot of these cold calling companies work.
Dude,
I don't think...
We tell our employees to hang up just tell them like, hey, I used to, if somebody would call me and say, is the owner there? I'd be like, no. I would. Like that's where I understand sales from being that business owner. Yes. And I know how to approach people where if that person would just come in and be like, hey, here's what I think we can do. I'm not going to give you some big slideshow. I'd love for you to come in, see some of the case studies we have, whatever. Like you bought me right there. Mm-hmm. But if you come in and you say, hey, I'd like to have 10 minutes of your time to do this, like you lost me. That's just me though, but like that's what I'm saying. It's not universal. But going back to the work from home, I think a lot of tactics, like in big tech, you saw them enforce that because people were getting
They're all coming back.
They were getting big tech salaries, but living in like Arizona or Texas. And they were kind of double dipping because, most of the time, like companies pay contingent upon the area in which
where you live.
Yes. It's to the standard of living.
Yes.
So I think that was a strategy for them to really cut dead weight because do you guys listen to the All In podcast?
I do. Yeah. I talk about it all the time.
I
haven't in a couple weeks, but yeah, I used to talk about it.
Okay. I love the All In podcast just because it's like kind of like a 30,000 foot view of people that are actually in the trenches of what's going on.
I like the two Davids. I like David Sachs
and
like
David Friedberg.
I don't like
Jason.
Jason's annoying, and Chamath has some questionable background.
Okay, so I don't know as much about his background.
I'll have to share a story with you.
I would be interested.
He's made a shitload of money, but
Sachs is my favorite.
Dude, I love David.
I love Sachs because like he's just raw, uncut. But I think that's what happened was like they were talking about how essentially when liquid, like there was so much dry powder out there, people were hiring for 2 years in advance. They were kind of just like, let's get the talent now.
Yes.
And work them in. And then, Elon took over Twitter and everybody was, you saw what was going to happen. Like, it's a tech company.
Yeah.
Everything was built on culture there. And, they were trying to protect their kingdom. And long story short, he took it over and I don't know how transparent he is about, profitability, things like that. But
he just said on the most recent, we just talked about this. Did you see the recent summit he had where he told advertisers to go fuck themselves?
I fucking loved it.
But the problem is he said essentially Twitter's going to fail. Essentially what he was saying.
Yeah. Like I didn't watch the whole thing. Enlighten me a little bit. I just saw the clips, that there were.
So I think he kind of got in trouble for retweeting something that was, let's just put it a little off color.
Okay, I did see that.
And a lot of advertisers dropped because of that. And then he's saying, go fuck yourself. And that because of an advertiser boycott, they will kill Twitter, is essentially what he's saying.
I think it's interesting how transparent he is about that, too. You guys ever think about that?
A lot of the comments are all like, he said something like, the public is the judge. Everyone was like, yeah. I mean, everyone was like, he's right.
And that's what I like him. It seems like he has zero fear. And it seems like he's willing to. I like a lot of what. I like the things that Elon does, not because I may agree with everything he does, but because he stands behind exactly what he believes in.
Yeah.
And he's not bought and paid for. And I think transparently within the next political cycle, I think he is going to have much larger impact than people really think. And I think this is going to be exciting. I think
that's part of why he got into it.
I think so too. And I like I said, I don't like to get too political about things.
Well, he can never be president.
No, because he wasn't a natural born citizen.
Yeah, he was born in. Yeah,
but he doesn't need to be president if he's using Twitter to decide who president is going to be.
And that's what I think he kind of reversed the script where he can't be.
Do you think he can use that platform enough to sway the election that much?
I think that he has just as much control as any other tech company. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Twitter has the media in their pocket right now. Like they're.
But that's the thing though, is look at media before, like now you're like Vibe Media, like personal branding. That controls the ecosystem right now. Big media was just like a bigger version of that, but it was less transparent and it was just like case studies for like a pharmaceutical company trying to push a vaccine or whatever. Not to get into that, but just in general, like you read a case study, there's some medication and whatever it is. Well, usually somebody's paying that university and funding them to do the study. And studies, as we know, stats can be taken any way. How you do a P&L can be taken any way.
Yeah.
So that's like when people ask me things like, what do you think about this? And I'm like,
I think we learned to not trust medicine or science over the past couple of years.
At
least when it comes to medicine and pharmaceuticals.
I just think you saw the real light of we actually have choices.
Yeah.
And I think that
I think it just came to light that all they care about is money.
Yeah. I think that's what
that's it.
And transparently, when we talk government, I think that's like what we're seeing right now. And people just don't want to lose power. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. I will say one of the favorite guys, like Senator Manchin from West Virginia. He's a pretty hardcore moderate. He's on the Democratic side, but he really stood up for a lot of good things that were more so of the people. I think the extremes are too extreme. And I think whoever wins this next election will be who can capture the middle the most. I will tell you, I love there.
It's good. So it's Biden versus Trump again.
It sounds like it's going to be I don't, you know what? Man, I love paying attention to all of it, but I think just logically, it's you don't know what's going to happen. There's just so many fucked up shit happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You watch the debates and the debates are just.
The left is going to get Trump elected again, just like they did the first time. This whole, they turned him into a martyr again with this whole, they keep trying to throw him in jail. It's just literally stop poking the bear. Why do they poke the bear? Leave him alone. And then if he gets less news coverage, essentially I think he would kind of just go away.
I don't understand. I think he's waiting to get back on Twitter. That's what I want to see. I think
he's back. Is he not?
Yeah, but I think he
could come back.
But here was my
But
thoughts.
he hasn't.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I think
he's waiting for the exact right time.
What's he going to drop? Is he going to drop some crazy shit?
Well, personally, I think whoever captures the moderates are going to win this election.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at it now, it's I don't think Joe Biden's a guy that can capture moderates.
Can he capture anyone?
I don't want to go.
Well, but Joe Biden is a moderate. I mean, he's as middle as it gets.
Did you see just the other day he got in trouble for hugging a 6-year-old and asking her if she was 17? I'm not joking. Matt, look this up.
Before you guys
pull
continue,
up that story.
What time is this?
No, you need to get out of here.
Oh yeah, I got a few. Give me let me send a message. Yeah, give me 5 minutes.
Okay, so Biden and Trump. Who you got? I would say at this, I honestly think, if I'm frank, I don't know if I vote for either. I don't.
I really would like to see somebody that's fresher, newer come in, but it's just so hard. We don't know what's going to happen legally with Trump. We don't know.
I don't think Trump actually wins.
One of them's gonna
primary.
I think Biden. I think he might take another fall. He might bang his head. And they might put someone else in.
I just think I don't know. I think something else.
It'd be smart for him.
If you look at the world we're in, though, if Trump does get in, everybody's going to be against him again. And it's what was the chaos that happened between 2017 to 2020 was everybody spent all their time and energy.
Well, we had chaos here, but outside. He did good things geopolitically.
I don't have any problems with how that time period went.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems. I think right now, though, we don't have somebody that's
My biggest
willing
thing
to
about
crack
Trump is how he handled COVID.
I mean, he was allowed to do what he wanted to do.
He kept Fauci forever. He's
the
the one that pushed through the COVID vax. So I still, for the Trumpers out there, you got to at least keep that in mind. Because a lot of them are like, fuck the vax. It's he was responsible for Operation, what do you call it, Warp Speed?
Yeah, it's what do we not know that went on behind, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're probably missing some, because two things could have happened. He could have either been doing that because there were so many, he looked at it and was like, if I go rogue on this, what bad things could happen? But then also it's why didn't he have the courage to maybe go rogue on it and do that? But then on the flip side, maybe he did believe in it because everybody was telling him this and that's what the information said. Regarding all of COVID, I think that was, where would we be if that didn't happen?
Probably in a better place.
I mean, but look at all the after effects from it. It's
we wouldn't be in this economy right now. We wouldn't have 9% inflation.
And I think right now, innovation is what's going to get our country out of where it is.
Yes.
I think you have two options when it comes to solving that deficit, and it's either raising taxes or creating some type of innovation to pump money into the U.S. economy. And whether that's nuclear fusion or something along those lines, but then also that's where politics come in. All those people that own, a company
oil companies, yeah. Natural gas.
Why aren't we drilling our own oil and selling it off to other countries? We have so much. I
don't understand that, to be honest.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't get any of that shit.
We want to preserve our natural resources so much, but we're willing to
buy from others.
But not only that, we were selling off part of our pipeline, or not the pipeline, but the reserves we had.
Yeah.
There was this period of time where we were selling that off. I don't understand. I don't understand why we do certain things. I think the world is run by a lot of lobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
I think lobbyists are underrated. I think the general public doesn't understand how big lobbyists play a role in things.
100%, yeah.
And I think once people, if they could find a way to understand that, it'd be a lot better.
What do you got to add?
I got nothing. This was fun. You guys are cool though. Well, you're not how I anticipated you'd be.
Well, thank you. In a good way or a bad way?
Good way.
Okay.
Yeah. No, in a good way.
So before we get out of here, let the listeners know where they can find you if they want to hit you up. Where are you at?
Look me up at Tanner Dallas.
Perfect.
Either any way, any platform. So that's all I got.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. We'll wrap up here. Let's see, where are we at? That's all the time we have for today. Sometimes I got to find how to wrap up this episode. The St. Louis podcast will be back next week, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, with a new guest, a new episode, and unfortunately more of myself, Katie, Garrett, Chris. Matt might come up here and co-host next week. God only knows. If you're watching live or later and we said something wrong, said something you hate, or said something you want to hear more about, we talked about a few subjects. Probably might get some upset people. Leave us a comment. We like the hate. We like the engagement, to be honest. So, as always, subscribe, leave a comment, share it to a friend. Finally, episode was recorded at Half Coast Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri.
Missouri, yeah.
If you're looking to start a podcast or take your current podcast to the next level, reach out to them at halfcoaststudios.com. They can do everything from production to editing to distribution. Or if you record it, at your house and you need someone just to help you out with editing and displacement, they can help you out there. halfcoaststudios.com. All right. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Tanner, and a pleasure hosting this podcast for the people of St. Louis. We'll see you next week.
Hey there, St. Louis podcast listeners. We've got some exciting news from our sponsor, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Lee. Mark Lee of Farmers Insurance is recruiting agency owners here in St. Louis.
That's right, Garrett, and everyone knows what Farmers Insurance is, and if they don't, they will now.
Yes, it's kind of a household name. That said, as many of you know, a large part of our audience is made up of badass business owners, entrepreneurs, and top producing sales professionals with an open mind like yourself. Farmers Insurance is currently searching for driven individuals who aspire to own their own business or already own their own business and want to add another income stream to join the Farmers Insurance brand and own their own insurance agency.
This is a stellar opportunity to build your own insurance agency from scratch, take over an existing agency, or if you're just a slow roller, we know you, the guys out there and ladies, get paid to train under an existing successful agency owner before starting your own.
Holy shit, Eric. That means that whether you have experience as a business owner or you've never heard the word business before in your life, there's a pathway to owning your own business through Farmers Insurance Agency led by Mark Lee.
That's right. You can become a Farmers Insurance business owner even if you've been homeless in the past, just like you.
Yeah, thanks.
If you've ever dreamt of being your own boss, building a team under a reputable brand, and making a difference in your community by offering top-tier auto, home, and commercial insurance to consumers and businesses in your area, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the godlike man himself, Mark Lee, has the perfect opportunity for you.
Visit insurancecareerstl.com to speak with Mark Lee, the district manager of Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, to become a Farmers Insurance agency owner today.
Did you hear that, St. Louis? Go visit insurancecareerstl.com. Insurancecareerstl.com. That is INSURANCE. Career, CAREERSTL.com.
To become a business owner today, again, one more time, visit insurancecareerstl, as in St. Louis.com today, right now, this second, or reach out to us at stlouispodcast.com and we'll introduce you to Mark Lee ourselves. And I promise he won't spell out insurance and career to you.